Hi, Maria. Welcome to Landing America.
Hi, Tatiana. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you for accepting my invitation. I'm really happy because this is the first time I'm having a guest on my show.
Thank you. And thank you for the trust, for being the number one.
Yeah, no, I was really excited to bring you on the show. So let's start from the very beginning. Let's talk about you and about your background, where you come from, a little bit about your family.
Okay, so my name is actually Maria. I go by Mafe. I'm from Venezuela. I have 7 years living here already, probably a little bit longer. I came in 2016 at the very end. I was 17 years old when I came here. I moved here to study, to went to the university. By that time, my whole family was living in Venezuela. And I moved here and I started living with my aunt and my uncle. Also, my two cousins, too. We all lived together. I started college. It was a great opportunity. My family stayed there. They just moved here on 2021.
Oh, that's nice.
Um, yes, that's great.
Very good for
So
you.
yeah, that's pretty much it about my background. I moved a lot back in Venezuela. So I lived in many different cities because of my dad's work. It was great. I still have a lot of friends from every place I live. I still have contact with them. And I also think that made it a little bit easier for me when I moved here because I already knew like kind of how to was starting from the very beginning when
Okay.
it comes to social.
Yeah, you had the
Yeah.
experience of moving to different places. So
Oh yeah.
when did you first time think about America or going to America? What gave you an idea?
So I really think since I was very little, I wanted to study here. I loved my English classes and I really wanted to learn English so bad since I was little. Of course, when you're little, you want to do a lot of things. I wanted to be like a dancer professional, a veterinarian. I wanted to be so many different stuff, but I always knew I wanted to do that stuff here.
Okay.
So of course, when I was little, I would think about America as Disney. So I was like, okay, if I move there, I'm gonna be in Disney every day, which I'm not, but I mean, kind of close to Disney. Um, so I started to learn English since I was very little. I didn't go to a bilingual school, but we did have classes like English classes, very basic. My parents would always take me to English classes, English lessons, but it wasn't like till I was around 13 that I got into a really good academy and I learned to speak English in pretty much 2 years. Of course, I don't speak English perfect, I'm not a native, um, but it helped me a lot when I moved.
Your English is really, really great. And I've also heard from some friends that I have from Venezuela, and they said that they didn't learn much English at school. So you actually did well.
Oh, thank you. Well, my English is not from my school. I mean, you will learn just the basics,
Hmm.
but it's from the academy. And also, since I liked English a lot, I will remember watching TV in English since I was little, um, reading in English. My dad is a really big reader, so he will make me read a lot. It's a hobby I want to take back. I don't read that much anymore, but I would like to read again. That also opens your mind to new words, new um, way of saying things. The academy I went to is actually a British academy, but they teach American English.
Mm.
When I moved here, I knew a lot, but still in the university, when you apply, if you don't do TOEFL, which is like an exam, immigrants have to do when they join the university. If you come from school to university, if you live here since before, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
So I didn't take that test. I didn't want to. It was so long. It was a 3 hour test back in Venezuela. I just decided to come,
Hmm.
and I did a test inside the university. It was like an hour test, wasn't that bad. I did have to take one or two reading classes. Reading is harder. Reading, like the way that comprehension is completely different that I was taught in school in Spanish.
Hmm. I saw the difference in English when I came here because our school system is teaching us British English in Europe. So
Okay, of course.
so we are learning different vocabulary. What I would like to hear more about is what was the process of applying for your student visa? So
Okay.
basically, how much did it cost you? How long did it take? What documentation did you have to provide? Where did you have to go? Did you need to go to some interview? What were the chances of getting visa?
Okay, so I have to say, I was very lucky because when I did the visa, the student visa, we still had the American embassy back in Venezuela. Right now, we don't. So it's a completely different process in terms of budget because you have to add a travel, like a trip outside of the country, if you want to get the student visa. Now, Venezuelans have to travel to a completely different country to apply for the visa, get the visa, and everything.
It is much
It's
harder.
harder now.
Hmm.
Yes, I've heard that right now a lot of people are getting the visa again from Venezuela. There was a time when it was really hard to get it. So it's good to know that we have new opportunities as Venezuelans in my case. So I'm gonna talk about my experience, how my experience was, and what I did to get the visa. But anyone has to take into consideration that right now we don't have the embassy back in my country, so that's an extra step that I can also talk a little bit about because my parents did have to travel to Colombia
Hmm.
to get the visa. So in my case, I was living not in Caracas, which is the capital city. I was back living in another city. I graduated from school and I knew I wanted to come. My family was really supportive because in that moment Venezuela was not in the best shape. It was really bad. So they were happy that I decided to move. The process is you have to apply to the university first. So it took me probably 2 months between choosing what was best in terms of quality and price. It is really expensive for international students to come. We pay 65% more than a regular student. So that's more than double per credit. It's wild. And
Wow.
it is wild because you have to commit to a full-time schedule. So it's not only you have to pay that much, but you have to do 12 credits minimum, which is a lot. So I did college and I don't remember the exact cost, but I think it was near around 1,000 per credit.
Oh,
A
okay.
little less in college, if I'm not mistaken. It was like 700 per credit in college. Then when I transferred to FIU, it was a lot more.
And do you pay it gradually or all at once or in the beginning? How does that work?
So you have to pay throughout the semester. We don't get FAFSA or any program from like helping program from the government. I know if you're a really good student, if you're good with sports, and if you do it from your country, you can get help, but it have to be from before. When I came here, I didn't get any help from the government or anything, and I couldn't apply to anything because I was already here. In the case, at least of Florida, because I do know Venezuela has been through a lot since 2016. And I know right now there are universities that offer programs, like cheaper programs, or another states. I know Utah, for example, they help people that comes from Venezuela to study. So
Mhm.
again, I'm talking about my case when I came.
Why did you decide for Miami?
I love Miami. I still love Miami. I know a lot of people doesn't really love Miami, but I feel it's like I come from a tropical country. You know, I come from the beach. Here, summer is terrible. It's hot. I know, but I can live through that and then enjoy this time. Today, it's freezing.
Yes,
I mean, we're probably like this because we're inside, but today's in the 60s and we're freezing because we're not used to this.
I love I love Florida winter. It's my favorite time because
Of course.
it's sometimes summer is unbearable, but the winter is perfect.
I know, but winter is perfect and it makes it worth it because you can go, even in winter, you can still go to the beach. Coming to answer your question, we also had planes that will travel Venezuela to Miami. So it was just one plane, 3 hours. It was great.
Lucky you.
Now we don't. Right now we have to
Oh,
go to another country and then come here. It's a completely different story right now. But
mm,
by that time, take one flight, that's it. My
int-
family could come because just one flight. I had family here, my uncles and my cousins, and yeah, I think I didn't think about moving anywhere else by that time. I will remember I thought about LA, but my mom said, "Okay, wait, you're 17. I don't want you to go to LA right now. Maybe when you transfer to the university in 2 years, we can think about it." It was I mean, I come from Venezuela. LA is wild compared to my country, you know.
yeah,
LA has different rules, different laws for so many things. Like my mom was really scared. Now that I live here, I know Miami is pretty much the same.
it's
But you
wild.
know, when you're a yeah, it's wild. I know, but when you don't live here, you don't know that. You think LA is wild, but I think
Mm.
it's pretty much the So, okay, I decided about Broward College. It was the best price and quality at that time. I applied. I think it was $60 to apply to college. So they ask for your documents, they ask for your diploma, for your grades, and of course for your birth information and all that. You have to send them the document.
What did you want to study?
So I first came to study psychology, but I changed that. I'll tell you about it later. I came to study psychology. I love psychology. It's something I really like. I applied for the program. You apply for an associate, which is the 2 years. They accepted me, and then with that letter of confirmation, you apply for your student visa. I did my program, my process myself. I didn't hire any lawyer because I knew a lot of English. So it did took me a couple hours to
Mhm.
fill out the forms. It's a lot. I don't remember how many questions, but it's a lot. And they will ask you how many times have you been here, your I-94s from all of those times, or the five last times, if you've been to different countries, why do you want to be here? What do you want to study? After the whole process of the online questions, they ask you to bring certain documents including your statement, like bank statements of your parent or whoever is going to sponsor you. In my case, it was my family. So I will remember we grabbed so many documents that it was a huge folder when we got to the embassy. So I applied, I believe it was at the very end of October. And my program started on January. So I didn't have that much time to get my visa, my everything else. I did had my tourist visa, but I didn't want to come here and change my status. So I had to do the student visa. Okay, I applied the very end of October. Then November, I got the confirmation. And I believe it was on the 16th of November that I had to go to the embassy. You have to take a bunch of documents. You have to take the same things the university already asked you for, the letter. I remember I had to pay $100 to get the letter of the university sent back to my country because my country is wild. So it was a lot. So $100 to get my letter. I got the letter, I got my documents. I needed to have my birth certificate in English and any other documents they asked for, like what my dad did for a job, why did I want to come. And when I arrived to the embassy, I remember they put me with two other people that were asking for the student visa on a line, right? And it's, I don't know if the embassy, if when you do it, your process to come here, you have to go to the embassy. It's like a bank. So they have like certain spots for every person behind a window, and they also have a curtain, right? So they close the curtain after, between every person, between every family. It was my very first time going to an embassy because before I was underage. So I was under 16. So I didn't have to go anytime my parents did my tourist visa. I was pretty nervous. And of course, I wanted to come here, but when you go there, you're like, okay, I'm like 1 second away from literally just leaving it, everything I'm leaving. So I remember they put the two people on their lines to get to the guy, and I was in the middle. So it was 3 lines, people asking for different visas, and the 3 students. So the lady on the left went first. She had a bunch of documents, and the guy didn't took 2 minutes to said, I don't know why they asked her or whatever, but the guy said, oh, I'm sorry, we cannot give you the visa. And they closed the curtains, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, I got so scared, you know?
That's
Then the other
scary.
guy go, and, and I was really scared, you know? I was like, oh my God, I have to see what they're gonna say. It's the same. 1 minute. I'm sorry, we cannot give you the visa. Your visa is not approved. Oh, and it was my turn with another guy, but still it was my turn. I was like, OMG, I should leave, right? I'm just gonna study here. And then I arrived there. I remember we handed the whole thing, the whole package. The guy, it's, oh, of course they're all American guys. I talk English, but I didn't live here. What I knew about English was a lot, but I wasn't used to having a conversation. And the guy was like, hi, where are you going to study? And he opened the folder and he was like, oh, you're going to Miami? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, oh, a lot of immigrants in Miami. And I'm like, yes, I love Miami. I've been there. And he's like, he didn't take a look to the whole thing. He just did like 1, 2 pages, look on the computer, look at me, and was like,